सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। So we completed the 8th shloka, which is up to the 73rd nama, Madhusudanaha. We move over to the 9th shloka. Please repeat once after me. Ishvaro Vikrami Dhanvi Medavi Vikramakramaha Anuttamo Duradarshak Kritagnya Kritiratmavan Anuttamo Duradarshak Kritagnya Kritiratmavan. This 9th shloka has the namas from 74th nama to the 84th nama. From 74 up to 84, which means there are 11 namas in all in this 9th shloka. The 74th nama is Ishvaraha. Ishvaraha here means the one who is omnipotent. Bhagavad Pada says, Sarva Shakti Matvat Ishvaraha. Because he is omnipotent. Sarva Shakti Matvat. He has all the Shakti in him. The infinite Shakti he has. Therefore, he is Ishvaraha. In fact, in the Shabda Ishvaraha, the Varach Pratyaya, the suffix that is added, Varaha, no, that is called the Varach suffix, Varach Pratyaya, it means Santata Bhavaha. That suffix, Varach, implies Santata Bhavaha, which means forever. So, he is omnipotent. How long he is omnipotent? He is omnipotent forever. We have our political parties who are in power for 5 years. They are not omnipotent though. Whatever potency they have, whatever capabilities they have, whatever powers they have, that is only for a short period, after which they don't have the powers. Even the IAS officers who are there, the collectors and all the officers, the IAS, IFS, IPS officers, they have the respect and all the powers only for so long they are in service. Once they are retired, they don't have any power. Whereas Ishvara is not occupying any post up there or anywhere. That he holds power for some time and then somebody else comes, he is defeated and then takes over the power and that person rules over. No, that can never happen. If at all anyone mistakes that he takes the position of Ishvara, he assumes so out of ignorance. That is what Hiranyakashipu did. So Ishvara means Sarva Shaktimatvat, the one who is omnipotent. That is the 74th nama. 75th nama. 75th nama is Vikrami. Vikrami occurs twice in Vishnu Sahasranama. It is here the 75th Nama and also the 909th Nama. We will see that after a long time. Okay, so that has a separate derivation, different derivation. Here, Vikrami means the one who has valor, the one who is courageous, the one who is brave. Now, all these are descriptions of somebody who fights a war, right? You call a soldier as valorous, as brave, as courageous. Why? Because he fights against the enemies. Now, where you say Ishvara is, the all and he is everywhere, and you say that he is Vikrami, meaning he is all valorous to fight against the enemies. Now, who can be enemies to Ishvara? When he is everywhere, he is everything. Where is the question of he fighting against enemies? Can ever Ishvara have enemies to fight against? Why at all this Nama? Vikrami. Why at all should we have this Nama? Don't we see a contradiction if we have this Nama? The answer is, one aspect is whoever has valor, whoever has courage, whoever has bravery, wherever you see these qualities, in whomever you see these qualities, we should remember that all these qualities, all the glory of that person is actually not the glory of that person, but the glory of Ishvara. It is Ishvara who has manifested in every soldier as his bravery, as his valor, as his courage, as his ability, the strength to fight and win over the enemy. So, this is something that we have to keep in mind when we talk about this Nama Vikrami. 76th Nama, Dhanvi. Dhanvi means the one who is the wielder of Dhanush. Dhanush is the bow. Now, it does not just mean one who has a bow. Having a bow is different from knowing to wield the bow. Okay? So, he does not merely hold a bow, but he also knows to wield it. He also has the skill to wield it. In Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, Bhagavan Krishna says, Rama Shastra Bhritamaham. Shankara quotes that here in his Bhashya to this particular Nama. He says, he quotes Krishna and reminds us where Krishna says, I am of all the deities who hold weapons, I am Ramaha. I stand as Ramaha. And what is Rama's weapon? The bow called Kodandaha. Kodandaha is the name of Rama's bow. What is the name of Arjuna's bow? Gandiva. Now I'm going to ask you one more question. What is the name of Vishnu's bow? Sharanga. So all these are the names. Our archers, they had names for their bows because they were all great archers and their bows had a lot of glory that they themselves had names and were identified with the archer. So the glory of Arjuna, the glory of Rama, all glory of any archer that we have had in our history, all glories, any archer's glory is the glory of him, Ishvara, Dhanvi. 77th Nama, Medhavi. Medhavi means the one who has Medha. If you have Medha, you are a Medhavi. What is Medha? Medha is a Shakti which comprises of the ability to grasp knowledge, to retain the knowledge, to analyze using the knowledge, and to recollect the knowledge whenever needed. So one should be able to receive the knowledge when it is taught, ability to grasp it, ability to retain it. It is not that after we say Purnamada, it is gone. So, ability to retain the knowledge, to analyze the knowledge, to analyze whatever one has received, whether you have doubts there, whether it contradicts with what we have already studied, and how you understand this, how you understand that. A lot of analysis happens, and then recollect whenever it is needed. In Samskrita, we say it is the combination of both Grihana Shakti and Dharana Shakti. And Medha is another name for Mata Saraswati. Shankara says, Bahu Grantha Dharana Samarthyam is Medhavi. The one who has the capacity to receive or to hold dharana, to hold so many granthas, so much of knowledge. And so, again, just like how we saw in Vikrami, anyone, if you find anyone with wonderful memory, with wonderful capabilities of analyzing knowledge to present what is received, to retain it, to recollect it, if wherever you see people with this kind of a capacity, all their glories belong to Ishvara. Again, in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, where Bhagavan talks about his vibhutis, he says, Tejas Tejasvi Namaham. I am the intelligence of all the intelligent people. So, anyone with intelligence, the intelligence is not the glory of any one person, it is the glory of Ishvara. Be it the intelligence of Einstein, be it the intelligence of Thomas Alva Edison, be it the intelligence of Alexander Graham Bell, where we just began with one ordinary telephone and now it is a cell phone. Okay, to whatever invention we have, just everything. Charles Babbage's, the computer that is there in front of you. Any intelligence, all to all our Indians sitting there in US, in Microsoft and all the software companies, all the intelligence, just all the intelligence is not the glory of any one person. The glory of Google is not the glory of Sundar Pichai. In fact, the glory of Sundar Pichai is the glory of Ishvara. So any glory that anyone has is not of the individual but is of Ishvara. Medhavi. 78th Nama, Vikramaha. Vikramaha again relates to one of Bhagavan's avatara. Here Shankara gives two meanings to Vikramaha. The first meaning is that of the avatara, the Trivikrama avatara, where he measured, the one who measured the entire universe in 3 steps, right? Where Mahabali Chakravarti was there to give any dana that a Brahmana wanted, and Bhagavan came in the form of a small Brahmana boy, Vamana Avatara, and he came as a small boy only for Garvabhanga of Mahabali Chakravarti. And he asked for 3 steps of land, measuring his feet. And Mahabali Chakravarti was so arrogant and he thought, how much of land would that be? And he, despite his guru, his Kulaguru Shukracharya warning him, don't agree to this, because the one who has come is not an ordinary person. He disobeyed his guru and he said, he agreed to what the boy wanted. And immediately Bhagavan took he came in his original form, the universal form, where he measured the entire earth in the first step and the entire space as a second step. And he asked Mahabali, where is the third step? Where is my third step that you promised? If at all that there is anything left after the Bhu and Akasha, what else is left? When the entire Akasha is measured, everything in the space is measured, what else is left? What is left is something that is beyond the Akasha, my Ahankara, right? Which is bigger than the Akasha. So he bows down and he says, you keep the third feet here. So the one who measured the entire universe, who traversed the entire Jagat in 3 steps, Vikramaha. This is the first meaning. The second meaning Shankara gives here is V. The V dhatu also refers to Garuda. Garuda is the king of birds, right? Garuda is the Vahana of Mahavishnu. So here Shankara says, Vina Kramati Iti Vikramaha. Vina means Garuda. Kramati, the one who moves, goes around on Garuda. He is Vikramaha. So this is the second meaning for Vikramaha. That is the 78th Nama. Now the 79th Nama. Kramaha. Kramaha means the one who causes movement. The one who causes movement. Bhagavan Vishnu is the Adhishtana Devata for the feet. Padayoho Vishnustishtatu. We have also, those who have studied Tattva Bodha as part of the Vedanta course can recall this. The Adhishtana Devata for the Karmendriya of feet. The Adhishtana Devata is Vishnu. You can refer your textbook, notebook or notes or memory or the YouTube classes, whatever is available with you. So, he who causes movement. Kramanat krama hetutva kramaha. The motion and the cause of motion. Both is Ishvara. The one who moves, the very motion itself, the movement and the cause of the movement. This also pertains to the order of this Jagat, right? So the earth moves around itself, and it also moves around the sun. All the planets are orbiting around the sun, and there is an order in everything, right? If you take the Srishti, there is an order. You have an order. When we talk of the evolution, when we talk of how I think we also refer to the Chaturvimshati Tattvotpatti Prakaranam of the Tattva Bodha in one of the earlier Vishnu Sahasranama classes, where we said we have an order in the evolution of the Srishti. The first, what came first was the Sukshma Panchabhutas, the subtle bhutas, the subtle bhautikas, the stula bhutas, the stula bhautikas. There was an order. You take anything, there is an order. You talk about doing a ritual, doing a Ganapati Homa or anything. There is an order in which it has to be done, right? What has to be done first? What has to be done after? You take cooking, something that definitely has to be in order, okay? Otherwise, it's going to upset your whole day. What has to go in first? Then what has to go in later? There has to be an order. So this very order is Ishvara. The orderliness that you see in this Jagat which is made up of all the orders, every order that you witness is Ishvara. Kramaha. He is the cause of the movement, and he is also the movement itself, the order itself. 80th Nama, Anuttamaha. Anuttamaha. Anuttamaha means there is nobody superior to him. The one who does not have anyone uttama to him. He is the most exalted, the most unparalleled in the entire Jagat, if at all you want to say, to understand. He is the only one who is unparalleled. There is nobody superior to him. In the Nitya Puja that we do here, there is a shloka, there is a mantra which appears in Mahanarayana Upanishad, and also this appears in Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Yasmat param na paramasti kinchit yasmannani yo najjayo osti kaschit. So when you say yasmat param na aparam asti kinchit, the one who does not have anybody, there is nothing superior or inferior to him. Why? Because he is the only one. There is no second entity to call as superior or inferior to Ishvara. In the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the Vishvarupa Darshana Yoga, Arjuna says, he talks to Bhagavan, when looking at his universal form, he says, Natvat samostya byatika kutonyaha. Where is the question of anyone, abhyadikaha, who is superior to you? Where is the question? Meaning, there can be nobody who is superior to you. You are uttamottamaha. You are anuttamaha. That is the 80th nama. 81st nama. Duradarshaha. Duradarshaha means the one who is unassailable. The one who cannot be defeated by any asura or any rakshasa, by any wicked person, by any evil. And there is no concept of evil, first of all, in our Sanatana Dharma. Because we say everything is Ishvara, right? Now, you said he is Almighty again, and you say he cannot be defeated. Where is the question of Almighty? Where is, even the question of having a discussion about Almighty being whether he is defeatable or not defeatable, right? Now, you should understand that he is within you and he is everywhere. In fact, what is he alone. This is what we have been continuously seeing in Sahasranama. This is what we have been knowing continuously about Ishvara. Now, while he is within me and he is everywhere and I am always with him, his grace is all available. But if it has to be available for me, then I have to tap his grace. And I cannot tap his grace without Shraddha and Bhakti. Only the one who has Shraddha and Bhakti on Ishvara, Shraddha on the Shastram that reveals Ishvara, and Bhakti as I relate with Ishvara, if that is not there, you cannot tap his grace at all. There is a story, there is, I think this occurs in Bhagavata, there is a part that comes where, Bhagavan cannot be bound by anyone, right? That was revealed by Yashoda Mata trying to tie him, and he grows bigger and bigger, and however long the rope she brings, it is 4 inches short. And she ties another rope to it, she attaches some more and she brings, it is again 4 inches short. She attaches some more, it is again 4 inches short. It is because he is everywhere and you cannot bind him at all. He is muktaha. Where is the question of binding him? But it's very interesting in this, this a part of a devotee expressing bhakti on Ishvara, expressing her love on Ishvara, where a gopi tells, Hastam nikshipya yatosi balat Krishna kim adbhutam. She says, see, I try to hold you because I want you to be with me. And I try to hold you, I hold your hand, and you just do that. No? You just put my hand down like that and you go because you are more powerful than me. So you put my hand down, obviously, I will not have the strength to hold on to you. But I know you are all powerful and I cannot hold you with my hand and I cannot bind you physically. Hridayat yadi niryasi ganayami te paurusham. If I bind you with all my love, with my bhakti through my heart, then you seem to be bonded. You seem to get, attracted to my bhakti, and you seem as though you are always, one with me. So, with bhakti, one can, this only means that with bhakti, where one has Shraddha and Bhakti, one can tap the grace of Ishvara. And somebody who cannot be won over at all is won over with your love. And those things that are difficult for me to win over, my own asuric tendencies, my own Rakshasa sampats that I have, if any, right? So, all these, how do I win over them? They come and stand in front of me and they cause a lot of problem in all my pursuits, in my thinking. So that is won over with the bhakti of Ishvara. Just as much as there is water in soil, and that water which is available underground, how can you tap it? By properly digging a well and pumping the water out, right? It has to be tapped, otherwise it won't be available for your use. Just the same way, with bhakti and shraddha, his anugraha is tapped. And it can be tapped only with shraddha and bhakti. In Bhagavad Gita, again, I can't stop quoting Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tasyaham sulabhah partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. If at all, at any point in time you feel, where will I get moksha? Where am I going to attain Ishvara? It seems to be impossible. With all the, the adhikaritva that is required, the viveka, vairagya, shama, dhamma, uparati, all these, when will it come to me? When will all the values come to me? When will I be a good, bhaktiman to finally attain Ishvara? When all this is going to happen? If at all you have any feeling like that, if you feel low like that, Krishna says, Hey Partha, aham sulabha. I am very easy to attain. I am not at all difficult. So, how is that Bhagavan is so easy to attain? For whom is he easy? He says, Nitya yuktasya yoginaha. Just have bhakti on me. Just have me in your mind. Mai asakta manaha. Fill me in your heart. So, for such a person, I am very, very easy to attain. So, that is the 81st nama, Duradarshaha. 82nd nama, Kritagnaha. Kritagnaha occurs for one more time as the 532nd nama with a different meaning. Here, as the 82nd nama, Kritagnaha means, Shankara says, Praninam Kritam Janati iti Kritagnaha. Praninam Kritam Janati. The one who knows the actions done by all. He knows what you do. What you do, not only what you physically do, even your mental actions. He knows what you think. And every action, whether physical, verbal or mental, has two results. One is the visible result and one is the invisible result. Whether there is visible result or not, there will definitely be the invisible result. And the invisible result is again twofold. It is either punya or papa. And any action I do, anything where I have to do, which is my duty to be discharged, one should remember that any duty that I discharge is always to be discharged with gratitude. And remember that Bhagavan is the karma paladata, and he remembers whatever you have done. Whether at all you remember what you did or not, Bhagavan clearly remembers what you have done, what you spoke, what you thought. And he remembers this for every prani, every living being. And he gives the fruit of their karma. So there is this meaning of Kritagnya. Kritagnya means, Shankara says, one who knows or remembers the actions. And Kritagnaha, tasya bhavana Kritagnyatha, we say. The one who, you do something, somebody does something for you, you have to remember that and you give them. You do it in return, right? You pay your gratitude for them. So that is called Kritagnyatha. It is very important that one lives with gratitude. This gratitude is something which is not seen these days. You don't even find a person who says thank you for what you did. It's very rare. If you have people who say thank you to you, you are very lucky. Okay? And don't expect that from everybody in this world. That is something that you have to remember. Because if you are used to hearing this thank you from people around you, and if somebody doesn't say thank you, and you did something really big for them, you'll feel bad. So remember that you should never expect gratitude from this world, but as an individual, where I am in the receiving end and I have benefited because of somebody's action, I should behave with gratitude. Whether somebody pays gratitude to me or not, that is their problem. No, I can't go and teach them and make them do it. As far as I am concerned, I should behave with gratitude. And there is a subhashitam that goes, it says, Chayam anyasya kurvanti tishtanti swayam atape phalanapi pararthaya vrikshaha satpurusha iva. It says, a tree is like a satpurusha. See the example they give. It says, tree is behaving like a satpurusha. Now, who is a satpurusha? How does a tree behave like? How do you say that a tree is behaving like a satpurusha? It says, Chayam anyasya kurvanti. It gives its shade for all the people, and tishtanti swayam atape. It stands in the heat. It bears the heat of the sun, giving shade to all people. Okay, it doesn't ask for shade. It bears the heat of the sun. And phalanapi pararthaya, even the fruits that it is bearing, it doesn't consume even one fruit. The mango tree does not even eat even one of its fruit, not even a little. It gives all its fruits to everybody who comes for it. Phalanapi pararthaya. So there is nothing that I consume and I only contribute. I give, and give. I only give. If a tree can do this, this Subhashitam is telling, a tree is like Satpurusha. Meaning Satpurusha should be much more than what a tree is, right? So, if a tree can do this, why can't me? What am I doing as a human being, right? I am expected to live a life of contribution. I should be able to contribute to people. Alright, so Bhagavan here as Kritagnaha, one who remembers your action and one who gives you the fruit of what you have done. He is the law of karma. He is the giver of the result, and he gives the result in the right time. He gives the right result in the right time to the right person. Never makes a mistake. Never has, It's even much accurate than Six Sigma. You don't have a case of not even one exception of error in this. And he knows and he remembers all the actions done by everybody. Kritagnaha. 83rd Nama. Kritihi. Kritihi means he is not only the law of karma and the giver of fruits of your action, but he is in fact in the form of the action itself. He is in the form of the action. He is the one who gives the results of the action, and he is also the laws in the karma, the law of karma also. Therefore, he is in the form of sadhya, he is in the form of sadhana, and he is also in the form of the sambandha between sadhya and sadhana. Sadhya is the end that you attain by doing something. Sadhana is what you do to attain the end. And sadhya sadhana sambandha means the connection between sadhya and sadhana, that this particular sadhana will give this particular result. Now, who decides that? Who decided that this sadhana, this action should give this result? Who decided that? And who determines which action is right and which action is wrong? Who determines all this? All this is the law of karma, and it is not that Bhagavan determined the law of karma, Bhagavan himself is the law of karma. So I clap hands. So this is an action, right? This is an action, a sadhana which produces a result, and the result is sound. Now, who decided that when two things meet like this, a sound has to be generated? This law is Ishvara. This action is Ishvara, and the law is Ishvara. So every law is his mandate, and every action is he himself. Kritihi. Every action meaning he is in the form of karma, he is in the form of dharma. When somebody asked, when you talk of dharma, you can't miss Rama. And it is said that Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha. Valmiki says, Bhagavan Valmiki says in Srimad Ramayana that Rama is nothing but the Dharma Vigraha. If you ask, how does Dharma look? How does it look? If you want to give a form to Dharma, it is the form of Rama himself. And if you have a doubt as to how moksha looks, how does moksha look? It is the form of Krishna. So, Kritihi. Kritihi means he is the action, the law of action, and the result one attains through action. Kritihi. 84th Nama, Atmavan. Atmavan generally means the one who has Atma. Dhanavan means the one who has Dhana. Balavan means the one who has Bala. So Atmavan means the one who has Atma. Now, the one who has Atma means the one who has the knowledge of Atma, the knowledge of the self. Which means he will no more be taken for a ride by his own fancies. Atmavan. Meaning, all his faculties are well orchestrated. They are together. It is not that mind thinks something, the words talk something, and he does something else. You say you want to go to a particular function at 9 a.m. in the morning. And when you say, don't worry, I will be there before time. Okay? In your mind, what have you thought? You have thought I should be there by 9. And when you say, you present yourself as a very nice person, no? So you say, I'll be there before time, which means you should be there before 9 o'clock, at least 8:59, right? But when you actually make it, you make it at 9:45, right? Which means there is no integration in your faculties at all. You thought of something, you spoke something, and finally you landed up doing something else. No, 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 I booked a taxi and he cancelled, and all the stories you can give. The question is why you didn't factor for all these things ahead of time, right? So when I am talking of integration of my faculties, it is the integration of my manas, all my senses, my word, my action, everything. Where I am in control of myself, all my senses are together, all my faculties are together. And I am not driven by any impulsive habits. Because being driven by impulsive habits is a state of helplessness where I am caught by my habitual traits and by all my other faculties, and they are not working for me. I work for them, right? So that is a helpless state, and that does not make one Atmavan. So this is the condition of an individual. When we talk of Atmavan, one who has all his faculties together. This is the condition at the individual level. Now, can we talk of Bhagavan? When we say, oh, we cannot say Bhagavan is the one who has all his faculties together. This is ridiculous because you don't need to point that out for Bhagavan. He is the Almighty. So, Atmavan here should mean something else when it comes to Bhagavan. Everything has its existence and reality because of Him. Everything is because of Him. The existence that everything has is because of Bhagavan. Atmavat. He is Atma, and it is because of Him that everything has its existence. Everything is dependent on Him for its existence. And what does He depend upon for His existence? Nothing. Swa Mahima Pratishthitatvat. Shankara says, Swa Mahima Pratishthitatvat. He is established in His own Swarupa. He is established in His own Swarupa, in His own glory. He exists. That is Atmavan. 84th Nama. With this, the 11 Namas in 9th Shloka is over, and we move over to the 10th Shloka. Please repeat once after me. Suresha Sharanam Sharma Vishvaretah Prajabhavaha Ahas Samvatsaro Vyalaf Pratyayas Sarvadarshanaha Ahas Samvatsaro Vyalaf Pratyayas Sarvadarshanaha. The 10th shloka has totally 10 namas. Nama number 85 to 94. The 85th nama to the 94th nama occurs in this 10th shloka. 85th nama is Sureshaha. Sureshaha means Suranam, Devanam, Ishaha. Sureshaha. The one who is the Lord of the Devas. Devonke Dev. The Lord of Devatas or Suras. Now this Sura is a word which does not literally mean Deva. It also means the denizens of the Swargaloka. I hope you. Denizen refers to a particular animal or an organism or any human being or any particular living being which is found in one particular part of the universe only. You cannot find them in other parts. So they are bodies that are found only in the Svargaloka. So any body who lives only in Swarga, the residents or the citizens of Swarga alone, you can't find them in any other loka. They are called Sura. And when you talk of Asura, what is Asura means? Asushu Ramate iti Asuraha. It means the one who revels in sensory pursuits, always revels in the pursuits of pleasure, is called Asura. Why is he called Asura? Because the one who always revels in the pursuits of the sensory pleasures will not always abide dharma, will break dharma for his personal needs. So, this term, this means, now having studied this meaning of the word Asura, this word Asura need not refer to a demon. It can refer to anybody. It can refer to anybody with these traits, right? Where one is solely driven by materialistic pursuits, only pleasure, and there is no time for Ishvara. Where one is totally obsessed with power and possession, and that only becomes priority in his life, material pursuits, pleasure, only that becomes priority in life. And if at all he is a theist, he is a believer, even if he is a believer, Ishvara appears as, the last item on his list of his wants, right? So that is the priority he gives Ishvara in his life. He doesn't even pray for 5 minutes a day. No, not even that much of time I have for Ishvara. Where? I have to go to office. I have to do work. I have this, I have that, I have this. So everything else in life is priority for you, and Ishvara is not priority for you. Everything else takes, the front seat, and Ishvara has given back seat. Now, this trait is called Asuric trait. Okay, and contrastingly, Deva are people who are intelligent, in fact, who are Vivekis, meaning the one who has the capability of discriminating between which is Dharma and Adharma. Because if you just say discriminative people, that could mean differently, right? So it is not any caste discrimination or racial discrimination. This is the one who has the ability to discriminate between what is dharma and what is adharma and choose the path of dharma because they are intelligent. So, he who is the Lord of those people, Devanam, Devanam Isha, Devanam Isha, the Lord of the people who live a life of dharma, which is backed by Viveka. And Suraha can also mean, Shankara says, Shobhana Dhatru. Shobhana Dhatru, the one who is the bestower of good to others. Shobhana Dhatrunam Ishaha. Those people who are bestowers of good, who always think of good for the others, the Lord of them is Sureshaha. Even Devatas always wish good for human beings, and they function according to the law of Ishvara. The rains, the winds, every law of this universe is governed by a Devata. So all of them are working for our good only. So we need to have the gratitude towards them because they do only good for us. Alright, so Suranam, Devanam, Ishaha, Sureshaha. 86th Nama, Sharanam. Sharanam means the one who is the ultimate refuge. Shankara says, Arthanam Arti Haranat Sharanam. Bhagavan is the final refuge. But we seek refuge. Where do we seek refuge? Where we think there is security. We think there is security with mortal people. We think there is security with finite things, with money, with the bank balance, with the deposits, with the investments, in the house, in all the property I hold, with all the people who I think they are there only for me. So I attach my security and I take refuge in all finite and limited things around me. Whereas the ultimate refuge is Parameshwaraha, and he's been waiting for me all the time, and I have not even looked at him. Artanam Arti Haranat Sharanam. Shankara says, because the Lord removes the troubles of everybody who is in distress. And that is why he is their refuge. Now, when I am in crisis, when I am in pain and I am helpless, I see my helplessness and I cry out to Bhagavan. Will he come? Will he come? Will he really come? If you have this doubt, there is this beautiful shloka called Artatrana Parayana Narayana Stotram. Okay? The shloka says, we'll conclude with this. The shloka says, if at all you have a doubt whether Bhagavan will come, when you call out to him in crisis, when you are in crisis, shloka says, remember there are already 6 examples. There are already 6 evidences for this. It says, Vatsalyad Abhaya Pradhana Samayad Artarti Nirvapanad Audaryadaga Shoshanada Ganita Shreyaf Badav Prapanad Sevya Shripatireka Eva Jagatam Santraya Shat Sakshinaha Prahladascha Vibhishanascha Karirat Panchalya Halya Dhruvaha Artatraya Tranaparayana Sabhagavan Narayano Megatihi. Says, see, Bhagavan, he has so much of Vatsalya. No? The love that Bhagavan has, he is Abhaya Pradhana. He is the one who gives you refuge, who provides refuge, and he provides this to everybody, to all those who are helpless. And he provides this to everybody who is in distress. Artarti Nirvapanat, to everyone who is seeking help and who is in distress. And for this, that Shripati, when you call out to Shripati, Eka Eva Jagatam, he is the only one in this whole universe who will listen to you and who will come for you immediately. And there is already Santyatra Shat Sakshinaha. There are 6 witnesses in the Puranas, in the history that you have for this. Didn't he come when Prahlada called? Didn't he come for Vibhishana? Didn't he come for Gajendra? Karirat, meaning the king of elephants. Didn't he come when Gajendra called out for him? Didn't he come when Panchali called out for him? Didn't he come for Ahalya? Didn't he come for Dhruva? Have you forgotten all this? You have 6 evidences in the history, and Artatrana Parayanasya Bhagavan, for the one who is fixed in his mind that Narayano me gatihi, he is my gati, he is my refuge, he will definitely come for you. And he is the only refuge for those who seek freedom within samsara, or for those Vivekis who seek freedom from samsara itself. So one has to tap his grace, and sometimes our prarabdha is more powerful than our ability to tap his grace. It happens. That doesn't mean that you can conclude that he doesn't exist. No? Immediately we will conclude when things are not happening, he doesn't exist. Don't, that is a sign of a weak mind. So don't get to that. Strengthen your bhakti, and he is giving you a crisis. He gives you a problem, a trouble, only because he knows that you can handle it. So he is still the ultimate refuge. So we will see the namas. We have completed up to the 86th nama. From the 87th nama, we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्।